Hello and welcome to this video entitled From Two to One to Zero. What is the message of non-duality or Advaita Vedanta? A couple days ago, I was curious and I asked ChatGPT if it could create a 10-minute video script, which would sort of describe this journey in a way from two to oneness to nothingness, basically, or Advaita Vedanta. And so I'm just going to read through what it gave me and then just sort of talk and see what comes through. So, welcome. Oops. All right. So, what I was thinking about the other day was I remember reading in philosophy as a high schooler, I guess, about man versus nature, and man versus God. So this is an ancient conflict. Since the dawn of philosophy, humanity has grappled with three fundamental conflicts. Man versus man, the struggle between individuals and groups, driven by ego, identity, and survival. Man versus man, us versus them, my country versus your country, my religion maybe versus your religion. Lots of competition, but not just competition, because competition in and of itself isn't bad. Like if you're playing football or whatnot, it's fun, it's playful. But yes, definitely it's man versus man in terms of survival, maybe even evolution, survival of the fittest. I must survive, and I am willing to take out whoever I need to in order to survive, and not only survive, but to prosper, to expand, to grow, and to gain more. Next, man versus nature, the illusion of being separate from the world around us and trying to conquer, dominate, or escape nature. Now, a lot of these, I think, were more prevalent, things that people thought about more maybe 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago for sure. Now we are so protected, we have so much shelter. Even I'm living in the UAE, and if we didn't have the shelter that we have now, of course, it's very hot here in the summer. It would be unbearable. Apparently, they did it before modern times, but I wouldn't be able to do it. So, anyways, now we have buildings and they all have air conditioning, and it's very pleasant and it's livable. It's doable. You can actually exist here. But before, it was man versus animals, man versus nature, man versus the elements, flooding, rain, and we still encounter these. We're not immune to them. We can watch the news and see that things can get very dangerous these days, especially with global warming and all the changes that are apparently happening to this world. But anyways, that's the second conflict. And then man versus God, the existential tension between a mortal self and some higher divine other, always distant, always beyond reach. Now, from a devotional sense, probably people wouldn't think about being against God. But then again, if you think about total surrender or total submission to God, you'll probably feel the ego come up a little bit and say, like, well, I love God. I want to serve God. I want to help God. But I still want my time. I want me time. I still want to have my pleasantries and my personal desires and whatnot. So it's, as one person said, it's like a business arrangement or an agreement with God. If I do this for you, God, will you do this for me? And so it's a bit of that business transaction. And will God actually come through? Will he give me what I've asked for after so many years of service, let's say? So, anyways, not my will, but thy will be done. There can be a tension within that, even if you really want to do the will of God, let's say. And will of God, of course, is a concept, something else we could talk about, but not my will, thy will be done. There's a quote from the Bible. It says, "The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." So all of us, of course, we have to deal with this physical body and the desire for pleasure, the fear of pain, that attraction, repulsion, that going towards and going against, that happens if you have a body, if you have a mind, which probably you do. Now, these stories of a separate me against a hostile world because all conflict, really, in this sense, is basically saying that it's hostile. It's about survival, basically, have formed the bedrock of civilizations, religions, and revolutions. But underneath them lies a deeper confusion, a basic assumption unchallenged that there is a me here and now. It's always here and now, time and space, and a world supposedly out there. That there is a subject and an object, that there is separation or two, an I and an other. But ChatGPT asks, is that really so? So that's number one. That's two-ness, basically, right? I and other, subject and object. Me against everything. Now, the second point is oneness. One earth, one humanity, one consciousness. At some point, there could be a softening of separation. It's still there, but it softens a bit. When we are with the ones that we love, it softens. When we are with our team, our religion, our country, it softens. It's not as extremely felt. Let's read it. As our global crises mount, we are beginning to glimpse another possibility. Climate change reminds us we are not separate from nature. Wars show us that enemies are imagined lines, not drawn on maps. Technology connects us faster than ever, revealing our shared humanity. Before, hundreds of years ago, we weren't as aware of all the atrocities and horrors happening on the planet. Now, it's on our phone. We are being exposed to so much of it. And that can have two sort of reactions. One is feeling much more empathy, much more compassion, a feeling of unity with your fellow man. But it can also be too much stimulation in a way, too much pain and suffering, and there can also be a resistance and like that's not me, that's not my problem. It's too much. I need to keep my distance from it. So, in moments of great silence, or love, or loss, or wonder, the boundary between me and you softens. When we're hugging that person we love, or hugging perhaps our fur baby, our dog, or a cat, maybe that sense of I and other, it melts a little bit more, right? And it's a very pleasant experience. What if this world isn't what if this isn't a world of 7 billion separate beings, but maybe it's one being in 7 billion forms? Maybe God, in his oneness, or her oneness, or its oneness, is literally all 7 billion beings. And that is what some people have called divine Leela, or divine play. One being apparently separate. What if consciousness isn't something inside your head, but the very field in which the head appears, an energetic field, perhaps, where everything is connected and interconnected? This is the turning point of the journey from division, from two, to unity. The sages of old called it oneness, not merely a poetic idea, but a living, breathing, radiant, self evident truth. There is only one earth. There is only one breath moving through all lungs. There's only one awareness shining through every eye. We call it love. We call it unity. But what it really is non-separation. And this is the beginning of true wisdom. Okay, so from two to one to zero. Advaita Vedanta says no self, no thing, only this. But now let us go even deeper, beyond unity, which is still two, beyond peace, beyond experience, because if there's no one there, there's no experiencer, there's no subject-object relationship to have an experience, and to Advaita, which means not two. Advaita doesn't say all is one, it says something much more radical. There is No one. There is no self, no me, no center, no person. The one who is asking, who is seeking, who is trying to become anything in the future, maybe enlightened, was never actually there. Everything's happening all by itself. There is only what is and what is not, and what is not a thing. It has no boundary, no beginning, no end, no birth, no death, no form, no dimensions, no layers, no process. A thought appears, and it is made of the same nothingness as silence. A body appears, and it is not owned by anyone, not controlled by anyone, not operated by anyone, because it is empty of self. A world appears, but it is not separate from the seeing of it. Subject, object, and the seeing of the two, all one, all this. Now, Advaita Vedanta is not a teaching, because all teachings would be composed of a teacher giving a teaching to a student, and there's nothing. No teacher, no student, no teaching. It's not a practice. It's not meant to be something for the illusory self, the phantom self, to put into practice. There isn't anyone to practice, and already this is the case. You cannot achieve this because it is already so. It already is. How can the ocean become the ocean? It's always the ocean. It's already this. It's already what is. Already there isn't any separation. Already there aren't two. Already there's no self. You may feel like a self. You may feel an energetic contraction. You may identify with the abstract conceptual self, but that's the illusion. I am, I stands for illusion. That's the illusion. That's Maya. That's the story of me and other. So what you are looking for is what is looking. What you are running from is what you are. What you are is what you have always been, nothing, appearing as everything. Pure awareness, unchanging, untouched, and yet not even that. Because in the final truth of Advaita, even awareness is not separate. Even that goes. And what remains, not a thing, not a word, not a concept, not a state of mind, not an experience. It's only this, whatever is happening. Unconditional freedom, unconditional love for no one. It's unnameable, it's undeniable, and it's effortlessly free. Closing words from ChatGPT, the end of seeking. So I leave you now with no answer, no path, no promise, only a gentle whisper from beyond the mind, perhaps from the heart. You were never apart. You were never broken. You were never a person. This, just this, is the eternal, the boundless aliveness, silent truth. And it asks nothing of you because it is you. Thank you. So, once again, this is what is and what is not. God is what is. Whatever is happening is the beloved. This is the beloved, always and already. Not later, not before, But now and now and now, this is everything. And this everything isn't a thing. Advaita Vedanta. So Advaita, not two. You may feel like you're in a state of oneness with everything, and that's beautiful. It feels very good. I am one with God. That feels good. I am one with my neighbors. That feels good. I am one with humanity. And because I feel that oneness with humanity, I will possibly treat them better, treat them with more kindness, with more empathy, with more compassion and mercy. Perhaps I will judge them less and embrace them and accept them and allow them more, allow them to be who and what they are. I am one with nature. I am one with all creation. Now, you could definitely be in that state of oneness with nature, but then if an elephant comes running at you, you're still going to have the wisdom and discernment to get out of the way, right? Nisargadatta Maharaj said, there is variety and difference, but no separation. Wisdom says, I am nothing. Love says, I am everything. And between these two, my life moves. Nisargadatta always also said, life is a river that flows between the banks of pain and pleasure. It looks like two, but it's two sides of the same coin. But then again, there isn't a coin. There's no thing. So some speakers who might be labeled as being radical in their non-duality, they would say, I think, if you agree, that there's no self and no thing, that this is an appearance, but it's an appearance for no one. There's no one in the appearance or outside of the appearance who is aware of the appearance. Again, in radical non-duality, it's not about awareness. Awareness implies two. And yet other teachers say awareness is the context and consciousness is the content. So there's no separation, but there's sort of a distinction made that everything that's moving and changing and coming and going, which are thoughts, words, feelings, states of mind, experiences, all of that is just changing, energy changing, 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 changing. And it's happening within the ocean of awareness. And awareness is silent and still, just watching the movie. Advaita Vedanta goes beyond that and says there isn't a movie. There isn't this awareness consciousness duality. There's no thing. It's energy, perhaps. It's divinity, perhaps. These are just names. The question might arise, what are you experiencing? What is that human being, that human body experiencing? Does it experience separation? Honestly, right? You have to be honest, of course. Why wouldn't you be? But are you experiencing I and other, me and you, subject and object? If you are, that's fine. That's not good or bad or right or wrong. It's just what's happening again. It's just what's happening. But at some point, this is a story about time and space and a linear timeline, but at some point, seeking may stop. Perhaps this is what happened when Papaji told Gangaji, stop. And it did. The self stopped. It just disappeared. And then it was seen that it was never there in the first place. It's an illusion. It feels very real as an energetic contraction, as a sense of separation. It feels extremely real. But when it disappears, oh, it was never actually there. The ocean was always the ocean. I was never the wave. All there is water. Everything is water. Everything is the beloved. Everything is unconditional freedom and unconditional love. Already, always, and already. Just this. And there's no one. So there's no one who's in control. There's no free will in that sense because there's no one there to have free will or not have free will. No time, no space, no dimensions, no layers. There's no form, no descriptions, no characteristics, no adjectives. You can't talk about it because it's not there. There's nothing there. How would you describe nothing? How would you describe everything? It's impossible. And it's not necessary. Nothing is necessary. There's no meaning. There's no purpose. There's no goal. Goal for whom? Meaning for whom? Things only matter to a me. This matters to me. When you feel separate, there are certain things, topics, subjects, people that matter to you because they feel alive. They seem to have value. My child, my family, I love them. They're objects actually that I love. They're my family. And of course they matter. And that's how it plays out. But in reality, it's not to say that if a self were to disappear, that there would no longer be love. Maybe there'd be greater love. Everything might even be full on. If you were to lose a child, there might be even greater loss. Why not? There are no rules, and everything is this. So grieving is this. Pain and pleasure are both equally this. It's equanimous. There's not even same and different because that implies two. These two are the same, or they are different, or they are similar. No, there's not even two. So in the final truth, there's just nothing. Now, of course, a me who wants to be in control, a me who wants to achieve a lot or get a lot, probably won't like this message Advaita Vedanta of no me. It's the death of me, the end of me, or not. It doesn't matter. You're not in control anyways. Who knows what will apparently happen to the physical body? But most people are going after something. They want more and more and more. They want things to become better and better and better. I want me to improve. I want my reality to improve. Basically, I want more pleasure and less pain, more pleasure and less pain, more pleasure and less pain. I don't want to suffer. I don't want to feel bad. I want to have, my full power and all of my talents and skills and abilities. I want everything to be, at its peak, optimum. And of course, that sounds good. That makes sense. And that's probably everyone's story to some degree, whether they are conscious or unconscious of it. But at some point, that seeking energy, in a way, it's like the wave, right? The wave is coming on the ocean and then it just disappears into the ocean. The seeking stops. The energetic contraction just sort of melts back into the ocean. Now, it sounds like a happening, but it's not. It's not an experience. In the same way that me experiencing my tea or my lunch or this moment, it's different from that. Most experience, if not all experience, basically is about I and other and subject and object. I am experiencing this chocolate in my mouth. I'm experiencing the rain outside. But when subject collapses, so does object. When there's no longer a self, there's no longer an I, there's no longer an other. There's just nothing. Again, what this video is also saying is that there might be that in-between place, maybe between meing and being, or sort of the self disappears and then it's back, or you're humbled in a sense. You may feel like I'm in control and here I am and I can do whatever I want. And then when this is seen, and it could be like lightning, right? You're in a dark room, lightning strikes, all of a sudden you can see the truth, and then it's dark again, but you've seen. You've seen something, and that can be very humbling, of course. Um, so, anyways, it might be heart opening. You might realize, oh, everyone, again, this is the oneness story. Everyone is my brother or my sister. They're another aspect of me. We're all one. It's this one divine life, this one love, this one being, this oneness. There's still I and other. There's still duality, but it's softened. My heart is open more now. Maybe there's an awakening, a passion, a new passion, or a hunger for God, whatever that means, for the divine, for truth, whatever that means. And there might be some mystical experiences. There might be some enlightening experiences. You might feel wiser than you did before. You might stop doing certain things and start doing other things, you know? Maybe you stop drinking and you start doing yoga or something. Or who knows? Anything is possible. Or maybe nothing changes. It doesn't matter because, again, all there is this. It doesn't matter what shape or form or expression this takes because it's always the ocean. It's always unconditional freedom and unconditional love. It's creativity and intelligence. It's life. It's aliveness. It's God. It's divinity. It's the beloved. It's you without a you. And even within one day, it could be that the experience sort of jumps all over the place. If the ego gets triggered, if you feel attacked or something like that, the I and other, the Twoness story could become very alive for you, right? How dare you say that to me? I and other, we're different and you're my enemy now, or something like that. It could become very extreme. But then you go home, you hug your wife, you pet your dog, you soften, and then all of a sudden you feel like, you know what? It's all life, it's all good, everything's fine. Um, and basically, we're all one again. God is with me, God will protect me, God will guide me, etc., etc. And then it could be while you're washing the dishes one day, or as Adi Ashanti said, he was sitting reading a book by Krishnamurti, he was sitting on a sofa. He physically got up, but something was left on the sofa, which he later realized, not immediately, but later that night, he realized was his self. Seems like an odd thing that you wouldn't notice that yourself was being left on the sofa. But it was such a non-experience, right? Because again, that self, which is always having experiences, had been left on the sofa. So there was nothing really there to register, let's say, an experience of something changing. Then there's just this, nothing appearing as everything, nothing appearing as everything, an appearance, a play, a movie, but for no one. Emptiness, 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 the absolute appearing as the relative, emptiness appearing as form, formlessness appearing as form, nothing appearing as everything. This creativity, intelligence, unconditional freedom, and unconditional love, 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 aliveness, boundlessness, absorption, emptiness, immediacy, radiancy, buoyancy, boundlessness, aliveness, full on divinity for no one. So thank you very much. Thank you, ChatGPT. Thank you, God. Thank you, heart. Thank you, soul. Thank you, oneness. Thank you, this emptiness. Be well. And I will try to figure out how to actually stop this meeting. Have a good day.